15 men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, dry bluff support that we love best. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum.
Actually, I'm going to have to go over and take a look at that book and start to read it because I've really become fascinated with these people, with your characters. Our next author is Elizabeth Hurst. Elizabeth is an author, a publisher, and an artist who lives in and loves Hamilton. I mean, each to their own, right? Her publishing company, Pop Seagull Publishing, which focuses on offbeat fantasy, science fiction, and horror with Canadian roots. Now, just recently, Elizabeth has found out from her father, who's a genealogist, that she's a direct descendant of a pirate called John Venzel. You can read about these characters at her booth. She has a number of books that you can read but cannot buy, but she has a number of them that you can purchase as well. So stop by her booth and pick up one of her books.
Hi everyone, I'm Elizabeth Hurst, and today I will be reading Beyond Nebra, which was originally published in the Mystic Signals 3 anthology, and now it's in my anthology Monsters and Mist. Nemra squatted by the fire, the light dancing off the upturned palms of her hands. Beneath her exposed breastbone, a soft blue light flickered, making shadows of the curved bones of her ribcage. "So," she said to Karamar, chin upturned, "you want to know how I got this power?" Karamar paused a moment. "Yes, I do. The real story this time." That one's costly, my lad. Truth always comes dear." She twirled away from the fire, her arms spread out. Karamar watched her prance for a moment, her white skin glowing in the light of the moon. He wondered how two opposite people could end up with the same goal in life. Certainly, he'd been attracted to her at first. What man and woman, facing the hardships of nature alone together, are not initially drawn to each other, if only out of a need for security and stability? But Karamar had spent much of his youth stealing cattle from rival tribes of the Downlands, and the longer he spent with Nemra, the more she reminded him of his youth. Beyond Nemra, a final few trees with light, thin bark and spade-shaped leaves stood between their campfire and the plain of Zefmal. Karamar's stomach clenched, and he turned his attention back to Nemra. Plenty of time to be afraid tomorrow, when they would need that extra fear energy to survive. "If you don't tell the story now, you may never have another chance to tell it. Truth may be as gold, girl, but once you're gone, it tarnishes quickly," he said. The lines on Nemra's face deepened. She frowned like an old woman rather than a maiden. Her chest still glowed like a lightning bug in the heat of summer. All right, I'll tell you what happened. There was this boy, a sorcerer's apprentice. A rather stupid fellow, all told. He had the bad fortune to fall in love with me." A grin spread across Nemra's face that made Karamar grateful that he had not suffered such bad fortune. Her teeth were like cat's teeth. "I warned him not to press me, but still he showed up at my family home, and every day I had to turn him away. Finally, I decided that maybe if I accepted his gift, he would leave me alone. Well, wouldn't you know, the stupid boy had taken one of his master's magic talismans." Karamar could always tell the fake tales, because Nemra inevitably styled herself as the winner of every argument, the smarter of every pairing. He sighed. "So what happened then?" "Well, naturally, I asked him what it did. I said I'd only agree to take it if he told me the external and the internal use. I think he expected me not to know about the secret internal magic of talismans, but that's silly, because every little girl tells tales of talisman magic gone wrong while she's staying overnight at friends' houses. As I say, he was a stupid boy." "So he told you, and you swallowed it?" "Yes, I swallowed it and skipped town. That talisman was my ticket to fortune." Karamar started gathering his sleeping furs. "Or your ticket to death. There's no guarantee you can release it. I've heard of trained wizards who couldn't release an internalized talisman." Nemra scowled. She grabbed her own sleeping fur and pulled it around herself like a piece of unleavened bread. "Are you happy with that one? Was that a good enough story for you?" she asked with her back turned. "A story it was, but I think that one had some truth in it. Perhaps one day you'll tell me which parts really happened." She grunted. "Perhaps not." Nemra's stiff-soled sandals scuffed against the Durin pebbles, marking the boundary between the forest and the plain of Zefmal. Karamar could see from the way that she bounced and swayed that she was restless to cross. She loosened her muscles like a runner, bending back on one knee, then the other, with her hand gripped around the ankle. Nemra pulled the swords, a short and a long, out of the cross scabbards on her back. Dano and Porta, she called them, like the lovers from the famous song. Karamar swung his semicircular Barumi blade in an arc in front of him. No one could cling to this weapon, nor a scabbard contain the crescent moon-shaped blade and its wooden backing lined with handholds and sacred carvings. Perhaps if we clear our minds beforehand, he began. Not from what I've heard, Nemra cut him off. The idol of Zeth Mal will see what it wants to see, no matter how hard you try to block it out. Karamar frowned. I'm still going to try. Nemra stepped toward the edge of the plain, a rounded expanse of ankle-high grass, about a mile to the center. In that center, far off, Karamar could see a small dark pedestal of stone, with the idol of Zeth Mal glittering atop it like a golden fly candle, the kind wizards made that drew insects in only to burn them up. Karamar tried to look stern and wise, despite the fact that he was only 2 years Nemra's senior. Be careful. Once you've crossed the line for the first time... Yes, you can't undo the enchantment. Are we going to go any time today? I suggested we started a run. Karamar nodded. Yes, let's run. As soon as we finish an enemy, let's run as fast as we can. It will give them less time to multiply. Despite their resolution, once they stepped beyond the barrier, Karamar stopped. The sky, formerly blue and filled with clusters of white clouds, instantly became a roiling purple mass of... Well, Karamar wasn't sure what it was, but it looked like melted wax with metal mixed into it. An ambient, lazy sort of light floated in the air in place of the sun. He saw Nemra in his peripheral vision, paused in the same manner. He forced himself to push onward, keeping his eyes on the dark pedestal in the center of the plain. By the time Karamar had reached a jog, Nemra tilted ahead at an all-out run. He could see her bounding ahead of him like an antelope fleeing a savanna cat, her swords held aloft as deadly horns. Long brown hair, brown as Karamar's skin in the heat of summer, streamed out behind her in a half-gathered ponytail. She was a thin girl, with a flat, boyish bottom and a chest to match. Karamar couldn't imagine the round-hipped, supple women of the Barumi clan having much luck running the way Nemra did. No, Nemra was well fitted for battle, but Karamar often wondered if she had always seen her battle as her only end. Karamar noticed the bulb of faint green light glowing from the base of Zeth Mal's pedestal as soon as it appeared, but it had turned to a dome and swept over them both before he could cry out a warning to Nemra. She was still a little ahead of him, lunging into the plain and uttering a shrill battle cry. Once the dome swept over them, a beast was there, directly in Nemra's path. Karamar grimaced at the giant creature, a monstrous bull with hooves girded in iron and blank, pus-colored eyes rolling in its head. Its hooves, even considering its size, were twice the proportion of a normal animal. It bellowed and charged at Nemra, who continued to run with unflinching ease. Karamar ran to the place where they must meet, eager to pull her to safety. Silly girl, why did she have to throw in his lot with someone with a death wish? Talisman or no talisman, she should... Karamar got close to Nemra and the bull, but not close enough. Nemra met the monster head-on and, using its giant horns for leverage, each horn easily the size of one of her legs, she vaulted over its head, legs spread, and landed on its back, where she eagerly thrust her two swords through its spine. The bull bellowed as its legs seized up beneath it, not so much slowing to a stop as skidding into the ground. Nemra jumped off of the bull's back before it could roll over on her, and stood with her hands on her knees and her back to the fiend, panting. Her long sword, Dano, protruded from the bull's ribcage. Karamar noticed that the beast was still breathing. With a quick art of his Barumi blade, he severed its head most of the way across. Dark purple sludge, like the swirling mess in the sky, ran down the edge of the blade. He leveraged his own weight against the carcass of the beast to dislodge Nemra's sword. It came out with a sound like a bare foot sliding through rotten pumpkin. With one hand, he held it out to Nemra, blade down so as to let it drip. Next time, let me in on the fight, he said. Next time, run a little faster, she replied. And then, taking the sword, what was that thing anyway? I might have been sick on rancid beef once or twice, but that's not quite the same thing. They took off at a jog. Karamar contemplated answering her. After all, hadn't she just been lying to him the whole way about her past? But his tribe had a saying, silence breeds deceit. I stole my fair share of steers in the downlands as a child. One of my earliest nightmares is of being trampled in the stampede. Ah, she said, tenuous and quick. Karamar frowned. That tone of voice, that uncertain expression haunted him for most of his life. In bar rooms when people recognized his weapon. in guards' huts when some city dweller decided he looked suspicious just for existing. Without an overt question, still he answered. The Barumi used to live off the land, before the lords put farms and estates on it. Now all of our hunting grounds, which fed hundreds of people, are fenced off for the use of very few. They tax us like any other citizens, but we're not the same as other citizens. We don't make a lot of things that the lords want to buy, except people, of course. But if you could barter your land back from the lords, if you had enough money, Kiramar nodded once, forcefully. The idol of Zephmal is worth almost anything to Lord Relch. Nemra's severe nose flared a little at its edges. The hard lines along her eyes softened. I can respect that. As they talked, Zephmal's pedestal clarified in the distance from a blurry black shoot pushing out of the ground to a small tree of black stone supporting a terrible golden oval fruit. The green light rose up like a bubble in boiling soup, then burst over them again. This time, when the light passed, a group of humanoid figures formed a wide ring around them.
These readings brought to you by the works of Stephen B. Pearl. To learn more about the works of Stephen B. Pearl, please visit www.stphenperl.com or my Amazon site on screen. Thank you.